Right, let me organise this.
Oh, and then you've got your computer.
And then I have to do that. There you go. Morning, everyone. How's just popping into frame on YouTube? Love it. Oh, how is everybody? It is Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. UK time. I have a cold, don't feel great, but I'm still here. We're still going to move. We're still going to move. Let me just check actually that I'm in, not quite in the screen, in the shot for you guys on YouTube. That's better. So this morning we're going to do just a short balancing flow. I thought it'd be something a little bit different, some extra poses that we haven't done before. And yeah, we'll just give it a go. It's a nice way to start the day and start moving about. So we'll get stuck straight in. So just finding a comfortable seat, just like we do most mornings. You can, of course, begin lying down if you prefer. And obviously we're all going to pick a completely different seat. There's no pressure to make yours look exactly like mine. Just finding a position you can sit in for a few minutes of silence and not silence, stillness is the word I'm after. And if it feels comfortable, just begin to close down the eyes and find somewhere that you can place the hands. So maybe that's in the lap or by your sides or on the knees. And just begin to notice your surroundings. So any sounds you might be able to hear. Just checking in. Just noticing how you feel this morning or this evening, depending on where you are. And then we're just going to bring the awareness inwards and just bring your focus onto your breath. So not changing anything, but just becoming more aware of it. Noticing how fast or slow you breathe. Do you breathe through the mouth or through the nose? And then if it feels okay for you to, we're just going to begin to lengthen the inhales and exhales and find a deeper breath. Just finding something that works best for you as the breath will see us through the rest of the practice. It will be the breath that we'll come back to in some of today's balancing poses. It's going to give us focus, bring us a sense of calm. So finding a nice rhythm that works for you. And then just keeping a hold of that. If the eyes are closed, just begin to blink them open. And first things first today, we're going to come to all fours. So just swinging the legs around depending on your seat. And we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders, knees come underneath the hip points, finding that kind of tabletop position. And we're just going to move through nice traditional cat-cow this morning. So if you've joined us for some of these morning sessions, you'll probably be quite used to it by now. But as you inhale, we're going to drop the belly down and we're going to gaze up towards the ceiling or the sky. And as you exhale, just reversing the motion, arching through the back, sending the chin to the chest, pressing through the ground, and then inhaling, dropping the belly, gazing up. And just take a few rounds of these, just in line with your own breath. just to make that connection as it carries you through the rest of the practice. Take one more round here. Inhaling, dropping the belly, gazing up. Exhaling, pressing the ground away, chin comes to chest. And then finding just neutral spine here, so back in that tabletop position. We're going to come up onto the knees now, bringing the hands onto the hips momentarily. And then we're going to find low lunge this morning. So just bringing that right leg up in front of you. And as I always try and remind you whenever we do these sorts of poses, plenty of ways to modify and find a pose that works best for you. So you can walk that right foot further out if you'd like, so your stance is a bit wider. We often say, so you're on a train track rather than a tightrope, gives you a bit more balance. Or if you'd like a bit more stretch through the hip, you can just squish that front foot forwards, and then you can kind of stretch down into that front knee and you'll feel the stretch through your hips. So just having a little play with it, finding a low lunge version that works best for you. You can be on the top of that back foot, or you can tuck the toes as well. And then as we inhale, we're just going to send the arms up overhead, really reaching for the ceiling here. Opening through the side body. Really nice, everyone. Reaching, reaching, reaching. And then as you exhale, we're just going to bring the hands all the way back down, coming back onto the hips. And we're going to come to stand at the top of the mat. So if the back toes aren't tucked, just tuck them. And then we're going to press into that front foot as we come to stand at the top of the mat. We'll meet here in mountain pose, otherwise known as Tadasana. The palms face forwards and we're grounding down here. So really pressing the feet down into the ground, engaging through the quad muscles here. And that should enable you to lift the kneecaps ever so slightly, feeling that really grounded feeling. From here, we're going to find our first balancing pose. I'm just going to move so that you guys can see me a little bit better to demonstrate. But feeling the ground beneath you, that's such an important part of finding this balancing pose. You may have seen tree. It's quite a obvious yoga pose. You see it quite a lot on social media. But it doesn't have to look like that, so we'll go through some of those modifications. So whilst you feel grounded here, just begin to play with the weight. Shift it forwards, backwards, left and right, and just really feel the ground beneath your feet. As you do so, just find a point out in front of you, something that's not going to move, maybe a knot in the wood of the floor or a speck on the wall, something in the pattern of the curtain. Finding that spot, and that's going to be your drishti spot. So it's not going to move, but it's going to allow you to find focus and balance in a second when we bring the foot off the floor. So taking your weight over into the left leg, just really gently bringing the right foot slowly off the mat. Maybe bringing it back down and just getting used to that feeling of the weight being in the left leg. Just having a little play, seeing how that feels. And maybe next time just keeping it up there for a little bit longer. Focusing on that drishti point out in front of you. And maybe just utilising your breath here if you need a little bit extra. We're just going to embrace the wobbles, the falls. Don't worry if you fall out at all. And if you'd like to, you can bring that right foot somewhere on the inside of the left leg. And that can be anywhere. So you're probably quite used to seeing it here on the inner thigh. This is also tree. This is also tree. We're doing the exact same thing. Maybe bringing the hands into heart center. Coming back to that nice deep breath as you focus on that point in front of you. Pressing through the left leg. And then when you've had enough, just replacing the right leg back down onto the ground. I'm just going to move back to where you guys will be. And then we're going to move through a little bit of a flow here. So as you inhale, we're going to send the arms forwards, bend through the knees, finding chair pose. So the weight's going back here as you bend through the knees generously. You're sending the weight into the heels. You still want to be able to see your toes in front of your knees, but you're in charge here of the intensity of this pose. As you exhale, send the hands down to the mat, finding forward fold here. Generously bend into the knees. We don't need to overstretch those hamstrings, as this is maybe the first time we've moved today. Inhale, come back up, halfway lift. Nice flat back position here. So thinking about balancing the book on your back, on your neck, gazing straight down, tucking the elbows in towards the body. And then as you exhale, planting the hands down towards the mat, bend the knees. We're going to send the right leg back, gently place the knee down. Send the left leg back, gently place the knee down, finding ourselves back in that all fours position. Walking the hands back up onto the hips as we come to sit back on the knees. And we're back where we started, so we'll take it to the other side. So this time left leg comes out in front, finding that low lunge position. And again, just have a little play around. Notice if it feels any different on this side. So maybe on this side you don't need to walk the leg out as wide. Maybe you prefer to walk it out a little bit further. As you inhale, send the arms up overhead. Think nice and tall, nice and long through the spine. Really reaching, pressing into the top of the right foot, pressing into the left foot with that bend in the knee. And then as you exhale, send the arms out wide, coming all the way down and replacing them back on the hips. Going to come to the top of the mat. So if it's not already, tuck the back toes, press down into the mat, press into that left leg as we come to the top of the mat to stand, meeting back in that mountain pose position. Again, I'm just going to move so that you guys can see me a little bit better, but we're going to move into that tree pose on the other side now. So in your mountain pose, as we did before, just feel really grounded here. So pressing the feet down into the ground, engaging through the quad muscles, maybe lifting the kneecaps slightly as you do so, feeling really grounded, like you're pressing into the ground. Start shifting the weight around, so maybe moving from left to right, forwards and backwards, and just feeling what that does, noticing, trying to find that spot out in front of you, maybe the same as you just found a few minutes ago, knowing that that's your focus point as we move into tree pose. So focusing on your breath, coming back to those deep inhales and exhales, sending the weight this time over towards the right foot, pressing down into the right foot, slowly bringing the left foot off the ground, and then maybe replacing it back down. Slowly bringing the left foot back off the ground, maybe a little bit longer this time, noticing how that feels. Stay with your breath. Pick that point out in front of you. And then maybe if it feels okay here, just guiding that left foot somewhere on the inside of the right leg. So again, it could be on the inner thigh, which is what we might be used to seeing. It can be further down. It can be down here on the ankle. They are all tree pose. Maybe bringing the hands into heart center, focusing on that point out in front of you, breathing into the pose and embracing any wobbles, or if you fall out of the pose, that is usually me. Replacing the left foot back down on the mat. And we'll just go through as we did on the other side. So we're going to inhale, send the arms out long in front of you, sit back on the heels, finding chair pose, finding the intensity that works best for you. Do you want to sink a little bit deeper, or do you want to keep it a bit shallower this morning? As you exhale, sending the arms down towards the mat, finding that forward fold position. Nice, generous bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Nice flat back position. tucking those elbows in, sending those shoulder blades together down the back. And then as you exhale, just sending both hands down towards the mat. Let's send the left leg back first, and we're bringing the knee down onto the mat, followed by the right, bringing the knee down. Just in this all fours position, just as a transition, so swinging the legs round to one side. We're going to come to lie on the back. We're going to bring the practice down a notch now. We're going to find some reclined pigeon this morning. So with the knees bent, soles of the feet down on the floor, we're just going to lift the right foot off the mat, and we're going to take it over the top of the left knee. Flexing through the foot, so you want to keep that nice right angle through the foot here. And then just really gently, we're going to bring the left foot off the mat, flexing the foot here too, so sending those toes up towards the ceiling. And a bit like in chair, you're in control of the intensity here. So if this feels good and you can feel that stretch through that right side of the hip, embrace it, feel it, hang out here. If you'd like a tiny bit more, you can just gently bring that left leg closer in towards the body and you'll feel the stretch intensify. You can bring the hands through that kind of little gap that you've created, bringing the hands behind the left thigh, maybe interlace the fingers, allowing you to bring the left leg even closer. And some people also like to straighten the left leg, sending the heel up towards the ceiling, adding in a little extra stretch down the back of the left leg. Wherever you are, just finding the version of reclined pigeon that works best for you, and just breathing through, always coming back to the breath. Bringing that left foot back down onto the mat, and we're just going to unravel, so bringing the right foot down too, and then we'll take it onto the other side. So lifting the left leg up, that left foot's going to cross over onto the right knee, flex through the foot, so keeping that nice right angle there as you bring it across, and then gently lifting that right leg off the mat towards the body. And then just finding the version that you like on this side too. And as I always say, whenever we do these poses on both sides, just notice the difference. So for me on this side, I know that my hip is so much tighter, so it's quite a bit more difficult for me to get my hands around my right leg. I just about manage it, but I can really feel the intensity of that pose compared to on the other side. Coming back to your breath always. And then let's bring the right leg, that right foot comes back onto the mat, onto the ground, and then unraveling, bringing the left leg down too. Let's send the legs out long now, and we'll find Shavasana for our final resting pose. So palms maybe facing up towards the ceiling. As always, if lying on your back on the ground isn't comfortable for you, please find somewhere that's much better. So maybe that's a child's pose or a comfortable seat somewhere. For those of you in Shavasana, just allow everything to grow really heavy, feeling like you're melting down into the ground. Closing down the eyes if it feels okay for you. And just allowing your breath to return back to its more natural rhythm. Just letting that deep breath go. Releasing any tension you might have in the shoulders, through the legs. Relaxing the muscles of the face that maybe we don't realize need relaxing. And just taking a few moments for yourself to just be here in this present moment. And if you have a little extra time this morning, I'd invite you to maybe stay here and hang out a little bit longer. Just acknowledging, showing up for yourself this morning. Maybe saying a little internal thank you. And I will leave you there. But if you do have the extra time, absolutely do enjoy, stay there for a little bit longer. And I will see you tomorrow.